Now we take up the second part, B dA by dt. For a while we can think B is constant to separate it from the original case where there are two things together. For our better understanding, let us think that this B is constant and say B is into the plane. Here I put it into the plane, doesn't matter. This plus sign is the tail of an arrow. So whenever you put a circle and put a plus sign, remember that tail of the arrow is pointing towards you. So that B is into the plane. It is now constant with the time, let us think. Now in this field, there's a rod moved like this. Remember the field lines are now cut through by the this rod. This is once again an experimental observation. Try to understand. If at all you move the rod into the plane or out of the plane, it won't be cutting through the lines. So only when this rod cuts through the lines, it will not be cutting perpendicularly like this. It can cut slantingly also, but whenever this rod cuts through the field lines, there is an EMF developed between the ends of the rod, and this pi-shaped conductor here is making a connection between the ends of the rod. Therefore, that EMF drives the current in the closed loop. Yes, previously the explanation was this way. Faraday tells us that a time-varying magnetic field produces E. That E drives the electrons in the loop there. But now, here B is constant. So there is no electric field that was to be produced by dV by dt here. But it's not so difficult. Here, previously the idea of electric field was introduced because the magnetic field cannot exert force on stationary charges. Magnetic fields are formed by moving charges. Magnetic fields exert force on moving charges. So that idea of non-conservative electric field was introduced to take for that fact that the magnetic field cannot exert force on stationary charges. Of course, in the example there, the rod was moving, but I was telling you, let us think rod is stationary and B is only changing there. So even then, the current flows, right? So therefore, that problem was removed. Not only that, there's another example there, isn't it? A bar magnet is moved towards the stationary coil, to which there is no battery, nothing connected, but a galvanometer was there, and current was flowing. As long as the bar magnet was moving, as long as the flux was changing, there is a current flowing there. So that requires this introduction of the electric field. For the electrons of the conductor to go around the conducting wire and form a current, we should have had an electric field there, and Faraday says dB by dt produces one electric field in the space, irrespective of whether you place a conductor or not. That problem we don't have here. Here we say this let me see. Here we can explain it in terms of the force applied by the magnetic field only. We have, as a rod is moving like that, we have one electron here. We'll consider one electron here that experiences force, because the rod is in motion, the electron is also in motion along with the rod. So magnetic fields apply force on moving charges. That's given by a formula, F equals QV cross B, an experimental formula once again to start with. But here the charge is what? Minus E. Alright, so work done on the electron will be F dot dl minus EV cross B. This whole F is put here, dot dl. And work done to move a unit positive charge is the EMF. So I'm bringing that minus E to the denominator here. Don't bring only E. If you bring E, that will be force on the electron. That will be minus V cross B. Force on the positive charge will be plus V cross B dot dl. So I brought the whole minus E to the left hand side and wrote that is E equals W by minus E, which is V cross B dot dl. So this kind of an EMF develops between the ends of the rod. Here I'll tell you a trick for students to know which end is plus, which end is minus. V cross B. V is like this and B is into the plane. Use the right hand thumb rule. Turn the four fingers, stretch the four fingers along V, turn them towards B. You know the thumb goes up, right? I hope you followed. This V, these four fingers are turned from V to B inside, the thumb is going up. So this is the direction of V cross B, right hand thumb rule. So V cross B you put like that, the arrow, and when V cross B is like this, put this as plus, this as minus, that's all. A small simple trick for not going wrong in deciding which end is plus, which end is minus. The explanation of comes slowly once you connect it with electric field anyway. But right now, yes, that becomes plus, this becomes minus. I'm not using the conventional what you call Fleming's what is that right hand rule. I'm not using for a while. According to that, you know how the current flows it gives. But now, right now, let us go this because our job is actually to make you do problems with confidence, not just by applying formulas but understanding the concept as well, but at the same time offer some simple techniques. It's not a technique, actually it comes from physics only, but this is more a general trick which applies in almost every situation. Okay, now that is plus, this is minus, so the current will flow like this. Yeah, in fact it agrees with the Fleming's right hand rule. You can see, those who know it, you stretch your right hand in such a way that the field is pointed by the forefinger, right? So in this case it is into the plane of the paper, and then motion in the direction, the thumb in the direction of motion of the rod. Therefore current is in the direction of the middle finger, which is here in the upward direction. So current is going out like this and coming this way and going up in the rod. So it agrees with your Fleming's right hand rule as well. So a current flows. So this is what you mean by motional EMF. So we could explain it in terms of force acting on the charge because of magnetic field only. It looks all right, but not really, because there is one main problem here. Magnetic fields apply force on the moving charges is right, but they don't change the kinetic energy of the electrons. They don't work on the electrons. So there seems to be some trouble here. Yeah, this is the formula is right, V cross B dot dl, only the interpretation is going to be slightly different. So for a motional EMF we should put V cross B dot dl, and this will be equal to B dA by dt, actually speaking. Remember this V cross B dot dl. In this case, if I derive the formula for the EMF developed here, V and B are perpendicular, right? So V cross B will be what? VB. And dot dl. dl is a small length of the rod. So integral dl will give you what? VB dl, some cos 0, cos theta, something like that you write. So EMF will be simply VBL, you get integral dl. So same as the formula we got it by taking B dA by dt. This is also equal to B dA by dt. So what I am trying to tell you is that B dA by dt is nothing but the motional EMF. Look, it was convenient to say that when a rod is moving like this, the flux is changing. If the B is into the plane like this, flux is changing. What if this is not connected? Even then EMF will be induced. Try to understand. So saying that motional EMF is connected to flux doesn't seem to be very nice, actually speaking. If I have a magnetic field here, and if I move a rod like this without even closing the circuit, even then you will see this end to be plus, this end to be minus. So in that case, then what is that B dA by dt? Is nothing but it is B at that moment into the rate at which the area is swept by the rod. So this way you will never get into any conceptual issues while solving problems. And how this EMF is obtained here can be explained in terms of the force applied by the magnetic field only, though here there appears to be some trouble. What is that problem here? The problem we are facing with this is here magnetic force is applied, all right, but magnetic field doesn't do work. So where are we getting this energy from will be a question. The explanation comes properly if you watch from the lab frame. That means you'll stand somewhere outside and watch the whole thing. Now look, this rod is moving forward, and either by applying Fleming's right hand rule. What is Fleming's right hand rule? You will hold the forefinger into the plane now and thumb in the direction of motion. Then you see the current to be flowing up, which means the electron must be moving down. Isn't it so? The conventional current direction is the direction of motion of positive charges. Okay, now electron must be coming down, and when electron is flowing in a metal wire, the speed is called drift speed. That is from our current electricity, the free electron theory, the Lorentz and Drude theory. An average speed called drift speed is the reason for the net charge flow in conductor. That is another discussion. Right now we'll think that yes, when the electron is flowing as current in a wire, it has got a speed called drift speed. So when I look from outside, the electron has two speeds. One, the speed of the rod, the other its own drift speed in the rod. So for this person, electron neither moves this way nor moves this way. It actually moves in the resultant direction. As a result of the rod's motion, it is somewhere here, and as a result of its own motion inside the rod is downwards. So for him it appears to be moving this way, for the person standing here. Now if the electron has a velocity like this, the magnetic field which is into the plane should apply a force like this. Here remember, we're still explaining in terms the force applied with the magnetic field only, but we'll give it a nice meaning, because previously we thought that magnetic field cannot do work. In a magnetic field, when electron moves, its kinetic energy doesn't change. So where is the energy coming from will be an important thing to be addressed. So therefore we're coming to this modeling here. So F magnetic is this way. That also comes from what? QV cross B. Had this been a positive charge, the force would have been in this direction. By applying our right hand thumb rule, we can do V cross B. VE cross B. B is into the plane. So if I do that on a positive charge, the force is going to be in this direction on a positive charge. Since an electron, the force will be like this. The angle between V and this Fm will be 90 degrees. Now, what do you mean by force of magnetic field acting like this? It is trying to take out the electron from the rod. Of course, it won't be succeeding. It's not that high to just kick out that electron out of the rod anyway. But when this electron is being pulled out, the electron applies force on the material of the rod, the remaining crystal structure of the rod. Isn't it so? That means as this magnetic field is trying to take out the electron, it is also slowing down the motion of the rod. That means you can say this Fm has a component this way. You may call it Fm cos theta, Fm sin theta, depending on where you want to take theta. So that component, for example, if I take this angle as theta, this Fm cos theta is the force with which the electron is pushing against the rod. Therefore the rod will be slowing down. So rod is being pulled out, it is pressing against the rod. So the rod is slowing down. So an external fellow who is maintaining the speed must be doing work. So it's not the magnetic field which is doing the work. It is trying to take out the electron. The electron is slowing down the motion of the rod, but the person pulling it away is not allowing it to slow. Isn't it so? That means the external agent is doing a mechanical work in maintaining the speed of the rod. That is becoming the electrical energy in the rod and in the wire, in the loop basically. Okay, but what about the previous one? In that case, how do you understand the previous one? It's a question of changing the reference frames. The first explanation, V cross B dot dl, we derived it and we said that is EMF, but we had a trouble there in convincing ourselves that this magnetic force is doing work. That we could do later. We went to the ground reference frame and told that yes, the magnetic field is applying force, but that's trying to remove the electron, so the electron is slowing down the motion of the rod. So the person working against that is doing work. Is nice explanation we offered. But in the first instance itself, we could have offered this explanation. Only thing is, just now change the reference frame again. What you do is, you think of moving along with the rod's reference frame. Like if the rod is going with V, you stand in a reference frame which is also going with V. Then in that case, isn't the rod going to be at rest? But now the magnetic field will be moving back with the speed V, the total magnetic field. So it doesn't become a time varying magnetic field. So time varying magnetic field will produce a electric field, we already know from the Faraday's explanation, right? Therefore, now we can easily understand, yes, there will be one E developed here along the rod, which is what? V cross B. That V cross B is going to work along the rod. Total work will be V cross B dot dl integral, that is the EMF, which also accidentally or incidentally, whatever it is, equal to B dA by dt. So for both the parts we provided our explanation. So this is the physics of electromagnetic induction. The flux rule is basically an experimental rule which works in whatever case of electromagnetic induction. That is in the case of time varying magnetic field it applies, and then in the case of motional EMF also it works. So but we won't rest there, because though you are watching that EMF to be induced, you would like to know the reason for it. So we are trying to explain the meaning of that A dB by dt and B dA by dt. In doing so, we came across few experiments and examples. If a conducting coil is placed in a time varying magnetic field, the non-conservative electric field associated with it drives the electrons to form the current. And in the case of motional EMF, force applied by magnetic field on the electrons inside the rod explains the production of EMF if you look from lab frame. Lab frame, when you stood and you watched the current flow, you could provide an explanation for the EMF generated. There, EMF is generated because the external agent who is trying to maintain the speed of the rod is actually doing work, and that work is becoming the electrical energy. In a reference frame moving with rod's velocity, one can think of electric field driving the charges. So whichever way you look at, you are able to explain what's happening and why the current is flowing.